The Consolidated PB4Y-2 Privateer is a World War II and Korean War-era patrol bomber of the United States Navy derived from the Consolidated B-24 Liberator. The Navy had been using unmodified B-24s as the PB4Y-1 Liberator, and the type was considered very successful. A fully navalized design was desired, and Consolidated developed a dedicated long-range patrol bomber in 1943, designated PB4Y-2 Privateer. In 1951, the series was redesignated P4Y-2 Privateer. A further change occurred in October 1962 when remaining Navy privateers were redesignated QP4B. Design and development. The Privateer was externally similar to the Liberator, but the fuselage was longer to accommodate a flight engineer's station, and had a tall single vertical stabilizer rather than the B-24's twin-tail configuration. The defensive armament was also increased to 12 50 in M2 Browning machine guns in 6 turrets, with the B-24's ventral, retractable Sperry bolt turret being omitted. Turbo superchargers were not fitted to the engines since maritime patrol missions were not usually flown at high altitude. The Ford Motor Company had earlier built an experimental variant using the single tail of a Douglas B-23 Dragon. Aircraft handling was improved, and the Air Corps' proposed B-24N production model was to be built by Ford, but the order was cancelled on the 31st of May 1945, and the B-24N never entered production. The Navy's desire for substantial redesigns, however, had sustained interest in the new tail assembly. The Navy eventually took delivery of 739 privateers, the majority after the end of the war, although several squadrons saw service in the Pacific Theater in the reconnaissance, search and rescue, electronic countermeasures, communication relay, and anti-shipping roles. Operational history. The Privateer entered Navy service during late 1944. Patrol bomber squadrons 118 and 119 being the first fleet squadrons to equip with the aircraft. The first overseas deployment began on 6 January 1945, when VPB-118 left for operations in the Marianas. On 2 March 1945, VPB-119 began offensive search missions out of Clark Field, Luzon in the Philippines, flying sectored searches of the seas and coastlines extending from the Gulf of Tonkin in the south, along the Chinese coast, and beyond Okinawa in the north. The Privateer was used as a Typhoon Hurricane hunter from 1945 to the mid-1950s. One aircraft, designated Buno 59415 of VPB-119, went down when it experienced mechanical trouble while investigating a Category 1 typhoon near Baton Island in the Philippines. It attempted to land on the island, but was unable to do so and crashed. It was one of only 6 Hurricane Hunter flights that were ever lost, and the only one found. Privateers were also used during the Korean War to fly Firefly night illumination missions, dropping parachute flares to detect North Korean and Chinese seaborne infiltrators. In addition, privateers were used by the U.S. Navy for signals intelligence flights off of the coast of the Soviet Union and the People's Republic of China. On 8 April 1950, Soviet La-11 fighters shot down a U.S. Navy PB4Y-2 Privateer over the Baltic Sea off the coast of Liepaja, Latvia. Named the Turbulent Turtle, the aircraft was assigned to Patrol Squadron 26. The French also used privateers as bombers during the Indochina War. All Navy PB4Y-2s were retired by 1954, though unarmed PB4Y-2G privateers served until 1958 with the Coast Guard before being auctioned off for salvage. The U.S. Navy dropped the patrol bomber designation in 1951, and the remaining PB4Y-2s were redesignated P4Y-2 Privateer. The earlier P4Y-1 Corregidor was a completely different design, based on the Consolidated Model 31 twin-engine flying boat. PB4Y-2s were still being used as drones in the 1950s, early 1960s, designated PB4Y-2K, and P4Y-2K after 1951. They were then redesignated QP4B under the 1962 United States Tri-Service Aircraft Designation System, part of the new Patrol series. Between the Lockheed P3 Orion and the Martin P5 Marlin, a number of PB4Ys were supplied to the Republic of China Air Force for use in missions over the People's Republic of China. One was shot down by ground fire on the 12th of September 1954, near Xiamen, People's Republic of China. A crew of 9 were killed. Another was shot down on the 15th of February 1961 by Burmese Hawker Sea Fury fighter aircraft near the Thai-Burmese border, killing the crew of 5. 2 other crew members were taken prisoner. This aircraft was carrying supplies for Chinese Kuomintang forces fighting in northern Burma. Privateers in aerial firefighting. A limited number of refitted PB4Ys and P4Ys continued in civilian service as air tankers, dropping fire retardant on forest fires throughout the western United States. On the 18th of July 2002, one such refitted P4Y-1 66,260, operated by Hawkins and Powers Aviation of Grable, Wyoming, broke up in flight while fighting a wildfire near Rocky Mountain National Park. Both crew members were killed in the accident, and the Federal Aviation Administration temporarily grounded all large air tankers in the region. Following the accident, all remaining privateers were retired. Variants. Prototypes 3 built. Main production version 736 built. PB4Y-2B PB4Y-2S equipped to launch ASMN-2 bat air-to-surface missiles. Redesignated P4Y-2B in 1951. PB4Y-2M PB4Y-2S converted for weather reconnaissance. Redesignated P4Y-2M in 1951. PB4Y-2S PB4Y-2S equipped with anti-submarine radar. Redesignated P4Y-2S in 1951. PB4Y-2G PB4Y-2S converted for air-sea rescue and weather reconnaissance duties with the U.S. Coast Guard. Redesignated P4Y-2G in 1951. PB4Y-2K PB4Y-2S converted to target drones. Redesignated P4Y-2K in 1951 and QP4B in 1962. Operators: Canada, Republic of China, France, Honduras, United States Navy, United States Coast Guard. Survivors: airworthy PB4Y-2 59882 Bob J. Hawkins in Grable, Wyoming. 66,300 Janks Air Museum in Chino, California. 66,302 P4Y-2 LLC in Phoenix, Arizona. On display PB4Y-2 59819 Lone Star Flight Museum in Galveston, Texas. Moving to Pima Air and Space, Tucson, AZ, the 23rd of November 2015. 59,876 Yankee Air Force in Belleville, Michigan. 59,932 Overexposed National World War II Museum in New Orleans, Louisiana. Displayed as a B-24D. 66,261 National Naval Aviation Museum at Naval Air Station, Pensacola, Florida. Specifications. Data from Jane's fighting aircraft of World War II. General characteristics. Crew: 11, 2 pilots, navigator, bombardier, 5 gunners, 2 radio operators. Length: 74 feet 7 in. Wingspan: 110 feet 0 in. Height: 30 feet 1 in. Wing area: 1,048 feet squared. Empty weight: 27,485 pounds. Max takeoff weight: 65,000 pounds. Power plant: 4 times Pratt & Amp Whitney R1830-94 radial engines, 1,350 horsepower each. Performance: maximum speed 300 miles per hour. Cruise speed 175 miles per hour. Range 2,820 miles. Service ceiling 21,000 feet. Wing loading 62 pounds/feet squared. Armament: guns 12 times 50 in M2 Browning machine guns in 6 turrets. Bombs: up to 12,800 pounds of bombs, mines, or torpedoes.